Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Yugi Adeda, the social scientist. In this channel, we discuss social issues that affect us socially, social issues such as marriage, relationship, health, amongst other social issues that generally affect us socially. If you are new to this channel, I'm urging you kindly subscribe so that anytime that I upload a new video, you may be notified so that we learn the content of that video for that specific day together. Now, welcome to part 2 of It Is Okay Not to Be Okay. I'd already done part 1 where we only introduced what mental illness is or what mental health is all about, and some of the warning signs that if you see in a person, then you need to think outside the box. And just as a recap of what we talked about, when we talk about mental health, we are talking about a wide range of conditions that affect the mood, the thinking, and the behavior of an individual. A wide range of conditions that affect the mood, the thinking, as well as the behavior of an individual. And in the previous video, I also talked about the warning signs, when we talked about things of being paranoid, that is feeling that someone is after an individual, something like that, long-lasting sadness, extreme changes in the mood, social withdrawal, drastic change in habits like eating, sleeping, and even the way somebody does his or her activities of the day-to-day. Then the aspect of drugs we also address. So if you have not watched part 1, kindly I'm humbly requesting you to go back to part 1 so that you get an in-depth analysis of what we dealt with about mental illness introduction. Now today I want to continue with part 2 of It Is Okay Not to Be Okay, and I want to focus on 2 aspects. One, the person, on the preventive ways, how one can reduce the aspect of mental illness. I know that the problems are there and they are not going to end, but at least we can help reduce chances of serious mental illnesses. So we want to deal with the prevention, and then partly I'll also talk about how to handle somebody who is suffering from a mental health issue. Now, when we talk about prevention, I want to go straight to the point. Number 1 is that always think optimistically. I know that we live in a world where you are not sure about tomorrow, and always, as an individual, please, we are advised to try and always think positively, always be optimistic, even though you know that it is tough. But have a positive mind, have an optimistic mind. Don't be pessimistic where everything you see is just negative. You just need to have a positive mind. And of course, even as we think of a positive mind, always have a positive mind, but deep inside the mind, expect a disappointment, expect a failure. So if you are optimistic and you don't have that in mind, then you may find yourself that when you don't achieve whatever you wanted, you did not give room for any problem or any failure. So as much as you be optimistic, also have room for such changes, like it may be successful or it may fail. Number 2, develop a self-esteem. Most of the time, like what I've just said about the extreme changes in the mood in part 1, most of the time those who are suffering from mental illness, they find themselves with low esteem. So as much as possible, always try to develop a positive self-esteem. Yes, you know that you are stuck here and there, but you have that aspect of motivation that in as much as I can't make it now, there is room for improvement tomorrow. And number 3, find support. Find support. And the aspect of support, find support in people. Now, this is where I always say something that I don't know how to help it out, but when we talk about find support in people, it is very important to know the kind of people that you interact with or the people that you find support from, because most of the time we use this part of finding support, but we do find support in the wrong places. So In as much as we are talking about finding support, it is good to find support from friends, find support from family members, and most importantly, find support from somebody who is a professional in the field. I know this one may be very difficult because of the financial issues here and there, because most of the support from professionals usually require some aspect of finance. However, where possible, find support from friends, ask for advices where necessary, so that at the end of the day you don't find yourself on the negative side. Number 4, keep physically fit. Be active, or keep physical activities. In other words, don't just sit. Engage in exercises, sports, and other activities that may preoccupy your mind, so that you are not clogged to a specific. When somebody once said that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So as an individual, we are requested, keep yourself active, do some exercise, engage in sports, do something. In other words, do not let your mind to be alone, so that you may be thinking outside or thinking about some weird things. And of course, you also need to, as much as possible, I've talked about bring the spiritual facets in your life. Bring the aspect of spiritualism in your life. I know when I talk about spiritualism, some people may be thinking of other things. When you talk about spiritualism, in other words, depending on where you come from, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are Hindu, whichever religion that you belong to, at least try and be connected with a spiritual being. Please, I'm not talking about religion here. The aspect of spiritual aspects. The spiritual aspect can come in form of music. There are those who, and also music, be keen, because there's some kind of music that when you listen to, instead of bringing the mood, it takes the mood out. So connect with the spiritual literature, soma vitabu, read spiritual books that can uplift you. And of course, we have the aspect of read the spiritual, the Bible, the Quran, whichever book that you normally use from the church perspectives. Now, strategies to help a mentally ill person. Strategies to help. I only want to give 3 for now. Now, strategy number 1. Listen to them without judgment. Listen to them. Somebody who is suffering from a mental health issue, sometimes they just need somebody to talk to them without judging them. Somebody who just listens. In other words, have the listening ear. Don't ask questions. Just listen. There's a time when the person just wants somebody to talk to. That talking to you may be the relieving aspect. So one of the strategy, if the person wants to talk, please listen. Give the listening ear, so that the person can be open-minded, or so that the person can understand the situations on the ground. The only thing that that person may be in need of is just somebody to talk to. Number 2, ask them what will help them. Ask them what will help them. Now, when we talk about ask them, yes, it is true that they are the ones who have the problem. But sometimes when you ask them what they feel, an example is, you are talking to someone, or the person was addressing you, he was talking to you in depth, and then you feel like you need to sit next to the person. Don't just guess that the person needs a hug, the person needs to sit next to him or her. Ask, do you mind if I sit next to you? Do you mind? You ask the person what will help them. Would you like if I call so and so? Would you like me to call somebody for you? Would you like me to do something for you? Those aspects. So in other words, ask them what will help them and avoid guesswork. This situation of thinking that the person now needs a hug, you hug the person. No, ask them so that you know what they want. And number 3, as I said, there were 3. 1, reassure them and avoid empty promises. Reassure them and avoid empty promises. Now, Somebody may be suffering from something. For example, illness. The friend is sick, the parent is sick, the mother is sick, somebody in the family is sick, or somebody they treasure most is sick. Then that affects the mental capability of the person, which leads to mental health issue. And then you, as somebody who is with the person, you reassure them. But the aspect of reassuring them, please reassure them of what can be possible. If you assure them that you will be there for them, please be present when they need you. If you reassure them that you will help them do something, make sure that you do that which you promised them to do. And if you know it is not possible, an example, you've gone to the hospital and then the mother is sick and you are with the person. Yes, it is good to be optimistic that, oh, your mom will be okay. But despite the fact that you think that the mother will be okay, now he's in the hospital. What if the person dies? How will the one who was mentally disturbed as a result of the sickness view you? So in other words, in as much as you want to reassure, please reassure what is possible. An example, for example, if it is the issue of sickness, reassure that all will be okay. Let us just leave it in God's hand. That aspect of let God's will be done will now make the person feel like, okay, in as much as the so-and-so said this one, we can give room for God to do whatever he can do. And that is the end of today. When we find time, we'll continue with more strategies. And please, if you are watching Apple comments, kindly write some of the strategies that you feel can also be used in order to help in mental illnesses. Also, you can add on the aspect of prevention measures. Please, Apple comment section, feel free to add something. Until next time, bye bye.